The film starts by showing a village, where we see a woman named Danny in her house. She is busy repairing the entire house, while her husband, Ted, a psychiatrist, is away. Their new house is located in a place where the network signal is very weak. Danny has been working on the house for many days since it was quite old. One day, Danny finds a spot in the house where there is a good network. She decides to call Ted and talk to him for a bit because she was bored and time seemed to be passing slowly. However, Ted had to stay at the hospital for some work that day, so Danny had to spend the night alone. She sets up a tent near the door on the side of the house to sleep. It was already quite late when a stranger arrived at the door. He was peeking through the window and spoke to Danny, warning her to open the door because her life was in danger. He claimed someone had entered the house to kill her. Danny, scared, refused to open the door. It was clear that trusting a stranger in such a situation was foolish. This man, who had a fake eye, spoke to Danny with such care and concern that it seemed like he genuinely wanted to help her. He then tells Danny, "If you don't trust me, it's okay. You can call the police because your life is truly in danger. Please understand me." After hearing this, Danny is standing near the door, unsure whether to open it or not. However, we are not shown whether she actually opens the door. Instead, we are presented with another scene, where we see something badly kills the patient with that fake eye. Then it was found that Danny was also dead. Someone has also killed her mercilessly. That is, it happened as he said, and now we see the time after a few months, where Danny's husband Ted comes to a shop where old and expensive things were found. This shop was actually Danny's twin sister Darcy. Darcy could not see since childhood. That is, she was blind. She also had some psychic powers. That is, she was the owner of the unique powers of the brain, like she could feel and see strange things, like ghosts, and magical powers. Darcy was very saddened by the death of her sister Danny. Now Ted used to come to meet her often, but he did not believe in Darcy's strange words, and she claims that I can feel paranormal things. That is, things that ordinary people cannot understand. At this time, she had a bell in her hand. She tells Ted that this bell is connected to the life of a boy, but one day, someone took his life mercilessly, and now I can feel him through this bell. Ted had come here to give her something that Darcy had asked him to bring. It was something special that was related to the patient with the fake eye, because through it, Darcy wanted to find out why he killed Danny, and what he was thinking at this time, so now Ted gives her the thing that was the handkerchief. In the same way, Darcy found out that Ted had now made a relationship with another girl, with whom he would marry soon, although Danny died not long after. Now this time Darcy felt bad, but she did not let it show. Ted tells Darcy about his friend that she was my friend before, but now because I need some support. So we both made a relationship and decided to get married, and she works in our hospital. Saying this, he left from there, but we understand that the purpose of Ted's hospital stay that night could only be his friend, because of which Danny had to spend the night alone. That is, he was already cheating her. Now in the evening, Darcy came to her house. She also brought a handkerchief of the patient with the fake eye, putting that handkerchief on the table, putting something inside it and taking off her gloves. As she touches it, she sees something very shocking, which she did not expect, because she was very scared and she had tears in her eyes. Now Darcy goes to a storeroom where she had kept a big wooden box. First she looks at it carefully, then she comes and sits next to it. In the room, there were many strange things, all connected to someone who, like Darcy, was no longer in this world. Darcy could feel their presence. After this, we see that Ted wakes up from sleep. He was getting ready to leave for the hospital, but his friend stops him. She begins showing him pictures on a camera. This camera actually belonged to Danny, and Ted's friend had found it. Now the camera was set up in such a way that it could make pictures by itself. Like this, she shows Ted a picture taken suddenly, which had a shadow of Danny, although it had been a long time since she had died, and Ted avoids this, but his friend finds it strange. Now Ted does his duty at night, that is, his friend will also have to stay alone in this house, but she was scared, because this was the same house where Danny died. Ted tells her, It's just a matter of a few days, then the time of my duty will change. You will have to manage by then, on this his friend says or not, until your duty at night. Ted lives in his own house. His friend tells him, when your duty changes, I will come back. Ted agrees with her. His friend has to leave today, and before Ted heads to work, she tells him that last night, Darcy sent a strange gift. It was the same wooden box, which surprised both of them greatly. They were even more shocked when they discovered that Darcy was standing outside the house. Neither of them had invited her, but she had come on her own, planning to stay for 2 days. Ted's friend wasn't interested in this, but Ted couldn't refuse her. Now, neither Ted nor his friend would be home, but Darcy insisted on staying. Darcy then shows them the wooden box gift, which was quite strange. Inside, there was a large wooden statue. Ted's friend felt very uncomfortable seeing it. Ted then explains to her, when Darcy leaves, I'll remove this statue. Until then, please bear with her for me. Ted left, and after a while, his friend was also about to leave. However, she couldn't find her keys anywhere. She searched everywhere but couldn't find them. Darcy was sitting there comfortably, as if she already knew what was going to happen next. When Ted's friend couldn't find the keys, Darcy asked, "Aren't you leaving now?" She replied, "No, it seems like I have to stay here." After a while, Ted's friend came back and was shocked to see the large wooden statue from the box sitting on the dining table. She felt uneasy and asked Darcy, "Did you bring it out?" Darcy gave a strange answer, saying, "No." Ted's friend asked again, "Then how did it come out?" Now she thought about it, but then ignoring it, she brings food for Darcy, and there are some talks between them. Ted's friend asks her about her work. When she told her, she laughs at Darcy in her heart. She believed that Darcy believes in witchcraft like a witch. Darcy asks her, "How do you feel in this house?" Ted's friend replied that she did not feel very good, as happened with your sister. It made me even more confused. Darcy asks her, "If a stranger asks you to open the door, will you open the door?" She says no, because I am not such a fool. Listening to this, Darcy got angry. She says my sister was not a fool, and she did not open the door. That is, it is not the patient with the fake eye, but someone else who killed her. Listening to this, Ted's friend says, "If a madman like him did not kill her, then who must have killed her?" Darcy says, "A male nurse, who is Ted's friend, and he works in the same hospital, where Ted is a doctor, and the man with the fake eye is a patient." Listening to this, Ted's friend feels very strange, but now we see the scene of that night, where that man came to Danny's door. Here we find out that Danny really did not open the door, and the man with the fake eye had really come to help her. Because at that time, someone had entered the house. As he said, he was actually a man wearing a mask who had mercilessly killed Danny. After a while, Ted's friend calls him and tells him that this Darcy is very strange. She talks strangely. She claims that Danny was not killed by a man with a fake eye, but by a nurse working in your hospital, who is your companion. And I don't feel good with her. I couldn't even go to my house. The car keys are lost, and I think she has put the keys here and there. Ted calms her down and tells her to close the door of the room and go to sleep. She had gone to her room, but she could not sleep. She came down and saw that Darcy was sitting on the sofa and sleeping, and now she quietly goes to the wooden statue to check it, so that she can see what secret is hidden in it. There were 5 holes in the statue's head when Ted's friend checked it. One of them was Danny, and Darcy's picture came out. One had a tooth and one had a small blood bottle. But in the meantime, Darcy's eyes opened, and she said in anger that put everything back. Ted's friend puts those things back in the statue's head, and after she left, Darcy spends the whole night in front of the statue. But Ted's friend was scared. Now, to pass the time, she starts watching the video recorded by her in Danny's camera, where she saw a scary face behind Danny, seeing which she was so scared that the camera falls off her hand when she saw that Danny's ghost is in a corner of the room, which scares her. In the meantime, she finds her keys, and she takes the car and leaves from here. Now we see the scene of the hospital, where Ted and Danny's murderer, that is, the nurse, have a friendship. Both are talking to each other. Now, after coming home, Ted sees that his friend is not here, and Darcy is sitting sad on the table. When Ted asks her about his friend, she replies that she has run away. I wanted her to see your real face, that you are such a disgusting person, but my sister's ghost scared her and she left. I really know that you are the person who has killed my sister. Because you fell in love with your friend, you just wanted to steal my sister's wealth, which that poor girl had already given you. I kept thinking that some crazy person has killed her, and I took revenge from that fake patient. But he really wanted to help my sister, and you are her real killer. And yes, I know that now you will send someone here so that he can kill me. But it would be better if you send that murderer, that is, the nurse, after listening to all this. Ted says, "How can you even think like this? And how did all these things come to your mind? If you doubt me, then let's go to that detective who is working on Danny's case." But Darcy still doesn't believe him. Ted says, "Okay, take this. I am keeping my phone here, and I am going to the detective. I will tell him to call you and tell you, whatever call comes, you pick it up." Saying this, he leaves, and now we see that scene from the past, where Ted was sitting next to the same killer nurse, making a plan to kill Danny. Yes, Darcy was absolutely right. He fell in love with his friend, and he wanted to get Danny's property. He just cared about money. He didn't love Danny, and at his behest, the nurse killed Danny, because the real psycho was the one who enjoyed killing people. But the question arises, what about the fake-eyed man in all this? So the real thing is that although he was not mentally well, but he was a good man from his heart, he was not a murderer. He had to listen to Ted and the nurse, so that night he went to save Danny. But Danny didn't believe him and she was killed, and because the man was suspicious, so Darcy killed him. That's why she said that I took revenge on that man, and then we see that Ted has made a plan to kill Darcy as well. He took out a tile from the floor before leaving, so that when she came to pick up the phone, she fell down from that place. He had also given this task to the nurse that now you have to kill Danny's sister Darcy as well. He agreed to this task and happily left for his house. Now Ted calls the number of the hospital on the number of the house, and as soon as Darcy went ahead to pick up the phone, according to the plan, she falls down. And when the nurse came there, he first looked at the wooden statue and then at Darcy, who was badly injured. She had a deep head injury, and due to a lot of bloodshed, she dies soon. But here comes a new twist. Now as we know that Darcy was fully convinced of such things as ritual magic, so by her death, a ritual was completed here, and she already knew her death, so she did not even try to save herself on purpose. And now, as soon as she died, the wooden statue suddenly came to life, and he followed the nurse and attacked him. The nurse saved him life and ran away, but suddenly he fainted. When he woke up, he found himself tied on the hospital bed, and Ted was standing in front of him. He blamed Darcy's death on the nurse, on whom the nurse began to beg in front of him that I promise that I will not tell anyone anything, just leave me. On which Ted says, no, I can't do such a big foolishness, because if I leave you, then the suspicion will come on me, that why couldn't I recognize a crazy psycho like you? But if I don't leave you, I'll be saved anyway. Because who would believe you that a wooden puppet came to life and attacked you? This shows us that Ted is a very selfish and deceitful person who used people very cleverly. He used almost everyone, even his wife. Now, Darcy could have killed the nurse, but she wouldn't let him go so easily. In fact, she wanted to torture him, just like he killed Danny and tortured many people. Also, when he was a nurse, he did injustice to many people. Now, a patient comes to take his revenge from the nurse, and he bites his finger, causing him a lot of pain. After this, we see Ted, who looks very worried, returning to his house. He sees the same bell that Darcy had told him about. He rings the bell and tries to summon the soul of the boy with whom the bell was attached, but nothing strange happens. This makes Ted think that maybe there is no such thing as supernatural, and Darcy is just committing fraud. Also, we learn that Ted's friend has left him. In this way, Darcy's revenge for her sister was complete because Ted's whole life had been ruined. Then, we see a very shocking scene. The soul of the boy, with whom the bell was attached, appears and stands with Ted, meaning that now Ted is not going to survive. With this, the story of the film ends here.